I'm not even going to try. Forget it. St. Augustine's College. Your problem started early. Presec Legon. You have the diagram I'm looking for. You are not ready.
No, I'm raising my hand.
Okay, go ahead.
It's an array.
No.
S solid. Which is S?
Methane gas. -5.
Yes.
Valence electrons.
Yes.
Plasma.
You are right. Pedigree analysis helps to understand whether the trait in question is dominant or recessive. Isaac?
True.
Yes. Mbebo?
False.
Yes. St. Augustine's College is returning the trophy. Joseph, where are you with our trophy? I am also a purposely designed engineering material. Yes, Isaac?
Composite.
Composite. Continue. At the end of the contest, Opokuwari School has 21 points. Adesadel College has 31 points. Presec Legon has 36 points. Opokuwari School, congratulations. I'm happy to declare you third place. Adesadel College, congratulations to you also. Thank you for giving us a great contest. Unfortunately, you couldn't take the trophy, but you did well. I'm happy to declare you second place. Presec Legon, I am pleased to congratulate you on your achievement as 2020 National Science and Math Quiz champions. Hooray!
Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, thank you for making the time to stay with us on Prime Morning. Now, I'm sure as you saw in your shot right there, you know what time it is. I am the quiz master. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So it all gets us. I mean, I don't know. This goes so way back. I mean, we've been following this even since our days. I'll not mention the year because Mobecheme will say, hey, Papa, you go as far back as that. But this morning, we're talking National Science and Math Quiz. Now, 135 schools are slugging it out for that coveted prize. Yeah, to be declared National Science and Math Quiz champions. 119 of them will go through the preliminary stages. We've had the regional qualifiers, and now we're going to find out what continues from here and how we've ended up in the Ashanti region, Kumasi to be specific for this one. First time that we're seeing this. Well, to joining me for the conversation this morning, two known faces, admiring them from afar. One, but quiz mistress herself, Professor Elsie Effah Kaufmann. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you very much.
Let me be a bit naughty. How did you end up with Kaufmann? Sounds very German.
I've been gathering names as I go through life.
I knew. I know. And there's also Nanekia, Managing Director of Primetime. Thank you so much, Nanekia, for joining the conversation. You've been doing this for a very long time. How is it year on year organizing the National Science and Math Quiz and all the work that goes into it?
When it's NSMQ season, it's crazy in the office.
I know, you'll be running around all over the place.
There's a lot of logistic considerations that must be taken and a lot of work that must be done for the program to come on. So it takes us all year to do it.
Right, so that's Nanekia Ankomah-Asare, giving the full name. I should have given the full one first. So tell us, what in this preliminary phase, we've done the regional event, right? Okay, so we've had the regional event. How many schools were involved in that?
A little over 480 schools.
480?
Yes, because at the regional level, it's open to all the schools in that region. So They show up, they ballot, and then they have their contests.
So 480, we squeezed out 135 of those schools?
We squeezed out 108.
108?
Yes. And that's the usual number, except that this year, because of COVID, we're having the prelims in the regions to cut down on the number of schools that come into camp. Yes.
Right.
So there'll be 108 that qualified from the qualifiers, but we have an additional 11 schools, making it 119, because in some of the regions, there won't be enough schools to make up the 3 schools that are needed for each contest. And that's why we are adding the top runners up in those specific regions to make up 119 schools instead of 108.
Okay. So right before I come to Prof, so looking at the regional balance, how it's gone so far. I mean, usually you would expect schools from the central region, the Ashanti region, the Greater Accra region. They are featured heavily, you know, in there. And in terms of in terms of the prize winners as well, from first to third and all of that, they've been very active. But what is the regional balance looking like this year? Are we seeing some of the very same schools we've seen in the past from the regions?
Year in, year out, you have mostly the same schools participating, but there are some new ones coming into it, especially from the newer regions. Like
over the last few years, we've heard of Sunrise, we've heard of so many that previously we had never seen. And they've come, they've rubbed shoulders with the big boys. And in many cases, they've given them some lashes and dispatched to them.
Yes, and that's the beauty of the NSMQ. No school is too small to do anything like major on the competition. Every school that comes to the competition is perfectly capable of going all the way to the finals.
We look forward to surprises this year. Prof, you've been doing this for quite a while now, and year in, year out, we see the excitement, all the buzz around it. I mean, sometimes you get those young ones quivering in their seats, almost to a voice, not question, no, to bar. But every year when you start with the X minus Q plus Y, then they start saying Prof. But what has the experience been like? Let's talk about last year.
Yes.
What was the experience like? What are you looking forward to as the competition starts off this year?
All right. Because of COVID-19, last year I only handled 13 contests.
Right.
Starting from the quarterfinals to the finals. And it's going to be the same thing this year for me. I'm always amazed at the level of competence of these young people. I mean, the questions they can answer in 30 seconds, I don't think I can if you put me...
You pose the questions.
I'm really good, but I'm not that fast.
Right.
Yes. Right. So the fact that they can do all of that in that kind of time is amazing, and I'm just pleased to be hanging out with them for a little while.
Right.
Yes.
They are little magicians, if you'd call them.
Yes, they do really well.
Let me this actually just came to mind, to be honest. I just want to find out from you. In the past, there are people who have said, they are so good at this stage, they can work all the mathematics and all that, but how do we translate that into making them transition from little geniuses into the geniuses who can maybe push Ghana in terms of industrialization and all of that? What is your thinking on that before I come back to you?
Yes, I'm very vocal about this, and I think many of you have heard me talking on various platforms, including even a TEDx talk I did on engineering education. Many of them go to engineering school, and yes, it's the engineers that are supposed to innovate and change our lives and solve our problems, right? Yeah, so what we give them now, what you see on display, is the foundation.
Right.
Okay, without a strong foundation, you cannot be expected to do anything spectacular in terms of innovating and solving the problems.
Right.
So it's a display of the foundation they have.
Right.
Some of the questions are beginning to reach the application level. It's a quiz program. There's only so much you can do in 30 seconds, right? That's the longest time, or maybe the problem of the day, which has more concepts.
Right.
And so what we have to do, once we realize that they have such a strong foundation, it is something to build on. If one of these young people goes to engineering school, I'm expecting those in the engineering schools to build them up, to help them to apply what they have learned. They would have had the beginnings of the application, but it is when they enter university, for example, that I'm expecting myself and my colleagues to do much of the work
to tap into that natural, that raw resource,
yes,
and ensure that it translates, because for them, they just have it's like a diamond in the rough. It now has to be polished.
Exactly. And I'm very happy to see many of these social groups, organizations, starting programs in design competitions and robotics, yes, to harness some of the creativity of these young people.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Let me come to you, but I know on that same, on the back of that, you've been organizing the SciTech fair, which seeks to hone some of these abilities. Tell us a bit about that and what maybe the plan is for this year.
Right. So the SciTech fair has already been done for this year. For this year? Yes, okay. It was part of the NSMQ, but last year, because of COVID, we had to suspend it. The students didn't have enough time with their schools, their tutors, to be able to put the projects together. But instead of that becoming a stumbling block, we decided to think about another way of going around it and giving the SciTech fair space to grow. So we broke it off from the NSMQ and put that along with the mentorship programs, which is also a satellite program of the NSMQ, together as the STEM Festival. So in July of this year, we had the STEM Festival, and the SciTech Fair took on another look. We had the exhibition, which is the usual one, and then we set up the SciTech Innovation Challenge, where we had the students come in then over the period of 2 days, put together the project, build it up from scratch in front of the cameras. It was very interesting, and Obuasi SHTS won that competition. And so going forward, that's how we're going to do it. It's going to give the SciTech, and which is the practical complement to the quiz, more space to grow, more attention. But somehow it always seems to be subdued by the quiz because of all the fans, the buzz about the quiz. It's always got subdued. So now it's been given its own time, its own stool to grow.
And I find it particularly interesting that you're mentioning Obuasi SHTS. Yes. So you see it's spreading across. It's not just the traditional. Of course, we want the traditional schools to be there winning and all of that, but we want others to come in if all of them are involved. I think robotics, for example, there's this Methodist Girls School that is really up there. So more and more getting involved, I believe that's a good thing. In case you just joined us and you're wondering what exactly is going on, well, we're talking National Science and Math Quiz. We have our very own Professor Elsie Kaufmann here. She poses the hard questions, but today I'm posing the questions to her, and she's in the hot seat. We also have Ankomah-Asare, who is actually Managing Director, Primetime, and organizers of National Science and Math Quiz. But why is the competition going to Kumasi this year? What is the motive? Why is it going to Kumasi?
Well, there are a number of things that came together to make this year the year, but it's actually something that we've been considering for some time now, especially as all the fans have been asking for it for years now. So for about 3 years, we've been, thinking about it, doing some recce in the Ashanti region for possible venues and so on. It's just that this year, lots of things came together to make it possible, and that's why we're going to Kumasi. It's a good way to bring the competition closer to the fans, to move it around a little bit.
I think Justified too, over the years, if you look at the performances of Akua, Prempe, Kumasi High, I mean, they fared pretty well. I think they are deserving of, the slot.
The competition in the Ashanti region is always very fierce, always very fierce. And I think you see that when we do the championships. When we did the championship this year, the finals was reminiscent of the grand finale when we do the national. We had Kumasi KSTS, secondary technical. We had Opoku and Prempe in the finals, and it was wonderful. It was fireworks. We are expecting that this year's competition will be just as wonderful.
So before I come to Prof, I'm sure on the back of COVID-19 and all of that, there must have been some special preparations you've put together for this event, especially as we're transplanting it, if you like, from the Greater Accra region to the Ashanti region. Tell us a bit about that, how you're going to work all of this out. I mean, not all the details, but what's the plan?
So the plan is to keep everybody in camp safe. That's our priority, and we did that last year over here as well. We had all the crew, the contestants, the quiz mistresses, the consultants, everybody tested in camp, and then we provided PPEs, and we're going to be doing pretty much the same. We're going to be making sure that we disinfect all the workstations after each contest, the venues, the usual, the sanitizers, the masks, and we want to make sure that everybody is safe and that we have a very smooth production. So we'll do all that we can to make that happen.
Right. I know you work hand in glove with NSMQ, but I want to find out, you would notice there are some schools that have struggled over the decades, have not been able to match up. Some of them are coming up now. And then there are what I feel we could call the traditional schools that year in, year out fare very well. Once in a while they take a tumble, stagger, fall, then they come back, they bounce back. What has been the approach? I know you would want to answer that question as well. What has been the approach in the schools? I mean, how have you, some of these struggling schools, to ensure that they are up to scratch? Is there a way, a format you've been using to get to the schools in terms of guidance, for example? Is there anything like that?
The organizers of the program, Primetime themselves, I'm not sure what they do, but personally...
That's why I intentionally put it to you first before I come to NSMQ.
But personally, I have never refused an invitation to speak to contestants or to any school. Some of them, when we didn't have the COVID, they would invite me in person. I would go talk to them, what I see. And some are very secretive about the preparations that they do. And so it's very difficult, unless they are asking specific questions, it's difficult for me to make any input. So I tell them general things, what I have seen being useful to certain schools, what I think they are doing to make them successful, and what they could do to improve their programs.
Speaking of some of those resources, I know that in some schools, the science resources, laboratories, equipment, and all of that is problematic. I'm sure you've noted that as well. I'm
very much aware of that, and sometimes they also invite me for fundraising activities.
Wow.
So if they invite me, I do go, and I speak as a guest speaker at some of these events. To talk about the importance of science education, not just for the contestants, but for the whole school. Yes. I have even been a patron of 1 year group of a certain school.
I know, you don't have to mention.
Yes, I've gone to my own school to go and open up a new lab. Yes, so these are some of the activities I do.
You're in the thick of things.
I basically have an interest in science education.
Right.
I think it's something that should be available to everyone, not just students even. You. Do you imagine how much science you're using as you host this program? And so it's something that we need to see as part of our daily lives. And how do we improve the level of science in our country and even beyond? These are the sorts of things I think about. And so whatever I can do, yes. So whatever I can do to promote science, I do. Yes.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being a beacon of hope. Very quick one there. Is there any approach Primetime uses to shore up those schools down there?
We can't be directly involved in this with the schools because
you are organizers of competitions.
So, but what we've been doing is instituting prizes to encourage them to do well, because recognition has a way of motivating you to put in your best, and that's why we actually have 2 prizes specifically for that every year, and then sometimes other sponsors come on and give those prizes. We have the Kweku Mensah Bonsu award for the most impressive run, which goes to the less endowed school. Usually a category C school that goes the farthest in the competition, usually up to a minimum of quarterfinals. And to complement that, we have the Jacob and Elizabeth Banfo Memorial Award for the teachers of the school that wins the most impressive run. And
we've seen that for a while now.
Yes, about 3 years.
I'm sure that is making an impact.
Yes, and it's wonderful. When I think it was Abetifi Presby that won it last year, I think so. And they went on a march past through the town.
They did.
They did.
Celebration be what?
Celebration, yes. And then another previous winner is St. Ignatius of Loyola.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes. I remember that name.
Yes.
I do remember.
Yes. So gradually, the less endowed schools are also making an impact. And that's why I referred to it earlier, that the beauty of the NSMQ is that no school is too small to make waves at the competition. Right. It has a lot to do with the preparation. So
no,
if you put
school
in
is a pushover anymore.
No.
By and by, we're getting to the stage where no school is a pushover. Exactly. But let's talk about the regional qualifiers, the championships. Right. Tell us a bit about what exactly transpired this year and how it's facing off. You mentioned in the Ashanti region, Opoku-Ware and Prempeh facing off.
Yes.
How did that pan out, though?
Well, Prempeh College won. It was a convincing win. They have a good team, so.
Prempeh usually has a good team, but I would have thrown my when you are not in any of the schools, you look for something that attaches you. Because I am Catholic, I would have thrown my weight here at Opoku-Ware.
Right.
But both schools amazing.
Yes.
So tell us a bit about the regional qualifiers.
The regional qualifiers. Well, we had that alongside the championship. So within about a month. So from the 3rd of May till the 5th of June, we were organizing regional qualifiers and regional championships. The difference between the qualifiers and the championships is that the qualifiers are the contests that we have in the regions to select the 108, the usual 108 that join the seeded schools at the national championship. So we go to 8 regional centers, 10, the old 10 regions, and have the contest there. And when you win your contest, then you have your tickets to join the national championship. And then the regional championship is a competition organized to have the qualifiers, those from the qualifiers and the seeded schools in that region compete as a way of helping them prepare better for the competition. It wasn't there before, and so you found that, especially for the seeded schools, the first time they'd compete would be at the 1/8 at the national championship, and it would be the first time for them. So now getting into the groove, while those from the regionals would have been at it for the 3rd time. So it helps with the preparation. So the qualifiers is the normal one that we do, sponsored by GES, and then the regional championship is sponsored by Absa Bank.
Okay, so tell us a bit about the preliminary stages. What will go into it? What we should be expecting as well. Now that we're done with the regional stage, the championships, how about the preliminary stages where it really starts to get heated up?
Yes, we start the preliminary stage on the 26th of October with Greater Accra, and we'll be moving to 8 centers.
8 centers.
8 centers to have the competition. So Western and Western North will come together as Western Zone, and we'll have that competition in Cape Coast because there's the central regional competition as well. So we'll go to these centers and have the contest for each region in those centers. And the winners of those contests, there'll be 39 of them, and then the top runners-up, 15 top runners-up, will join the 27 seeded schools at the national championship. So we'll go around until we are done. And then after the preliminary round, we all converge in Kumasi for the 1/8 to the finals.
Okay. So, and in terms of balloting, what form will it take? I know when it gets to that point, then balloting will follow, and which school is going to pair against which one. Reminds me of the Champions League. And then you will find out whether you're going to face Manchester United or Real Madrid or whatever. What shape will it take?
So the balloting will be done at the launch. We are actually launching tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
And the balloting will be done there. So the schools know ahead of time who they are meeting. And then we'll go round and have the competitions. And then we'll be back in Accra to prepare to leave for Kumasi, when we'll start the 1/8, when it gets really, really heated.
Yeah. We're looking forward to how that is going to pan out. My school this year, Bishop Herman for Yabeshe. God is our helper. Last year, some things didn't go too well, but I am excited about the fact that in that region, for example, the Volta region, I mean, in recent times, we've had Keta, we've had St. Paul's College, we've had Sunrise, we've had Maoli, Ola. I mean, a lot more schools showing up forcefully and saying, hey, we do. We'll see how this year's actually goes.
And Ketasco's been doing very, very
amazingly well.
Yes. Kudos to them. More grease. They can
more
do,
grease to their
They can do better.
Yeah. Prof, coming back to you, I know with your area of engineering, and I wasn't surprised when you mentioned engineering a short while ago, talking about some of these students and what they can be doing. Do you, both of you, do you follow the progress of some of these stars, if you like, especially those who place, the teams that place in the top 3 and maybe top 5? Do you follow their progress? Apart from some of them coming into your institutions, do you follow their progress as they go out there and all of that, and maybe offer some of this assistance to ensure that they can get something and come back? I don't know whether that actually happens.
I am in contact with some of them, but it's a personal decision.
Right.
So if a contestant decides to take my number and then keep up with me, send me updates of what they are doing, that makes me really happy. Every once in a while I hear from them and I'm so happy. They make my day. So I try to mentor some of them. Yes.
I think I've heard of some of them in the past who have gone to institutions outside there, some Ivy League, others
Absolutely.
not. It would be interesting to know how things are going with them and what from National Science and Math Quiz, where they've ended up.
Yes, every once in a while I hear from them and it's an amazing experience to keep in contact with them and see the amazing things they're doing around the world. Yes.
And for you?
Yes, we try to keep in touch with them. And you see that every year we usually have a video where some of them send in their congratulatory messages or motivational messages to the new, the current crop of contestants. So we try to keep in touch with them. Last year we began this Facebook Live interviews with some of the much older contestants that
you
we could
call
find.
them fellows of NSMQ.
well, yes, we could, and they're doing wonderful things all over the world.
That's what we want to hear.
They're doing wonderful things all over the world, and it was very enlightening to speak with them. Not only did they share their experiences on the competition, but how it's affected them afterwards and what career paths they've taken, and it's always great to hear from them because they also they also influence those who are coming up. We also make sure that whenever we have the mentorship sessions, we have some former contestants coming in to speak with the students. There's always a special kind of should I say bonding between the former contestants and the current crop whenever they come on the mentorship program and speak with them, because there's something to be said about representation.
Right.
When you see yourself in somebody else and then you see that you can do it as well, they look at them and say, oh, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, this person was just like
there, they've done that, and they are making these strides. We can also do that, if not better.
If not better.
Right.
So
I think that's amazing, that initiative.
We make it a point to follow as many of them as we can, but it's a very large group.
Yeah.
So, but some of them
I
also,
can only imagine over all these years. Wow.
Yes. Well, some of them also have stayed in touch with us over the years. You mentioned something about giving them help. When we hear that there's someone who needs help, we do go to help. We have given scholarships, and these are not the scholarships from our partners. These are scholarships that we have paid for, maybe with our partners or without, but these are scholarships that Primetime has given to former contestants who have needed help and have asked for it.
Kudos to you, more power to your elbow. Before we talk about what to expect from this year's event, let's talk about prizes. And I know you mentioned 2 of them, some going to the students and others going to teachers. Yes. What are some of the prize packages to look forward to in this year's competition?
We have the usual prizes sponsored by GES. That's 80,000 Ghana cedis going to the winning team. That's 40 to the school, 20 to the students, 20 to the teachers. We try to recognize the different groups that make that win possible. So the school has their package, and then the students, and then the teachers. So we have the packages for the prize winners, the placements, and then we have the special prizes. I mentioned the most impressive run, for example. We have prizes like those. There's the trip to Dubai through Nairobi is back, thanks to Adanse Travels and Kenya Airways.
Right.
We
thank them.
Yes, the number of
Kenya
scholarships, Accra College of Medicine and Academic City College, they've been with us for some years now, giving scholarships year after year to deserving students. And so those are some of the other prizes. We also have the special prizes that we have the special prizes from Absa Bank.
Okay.
And then we also have the Money Zone that's also sponsored by Absa Bank. Then we have the Airtel Tigo highest scorer of the day.
Right.
So for all the contests that will be taking place, the contest with the highest score, the team that wins their contest with the highest score gets that. We have the Goyle Riddle Bonanza coming back again this year.
Looks like a plethora of prizes. It's going to be exciting.
It's going to be exciting.
But just walk us through very briefly. So what should Ghanaians expect as they tune in to watch the National Science and Math Quiz this year? Oh,
the usual fireworks. It's
fireworks.
Fireworks. And the surprises. Those are always wonderful to see. As organizers, it's wonderful for us to see that the schools that may not be considered science schools or very strong in science are coming in and upsetting the traditional, giants, for want of a better expression. And so you're going to have all of these, the surprises, the fireworks. Everybody's putting in their maximum effort. So you can expect, you can expect.
Prof, wrap up comments. Achimota School, and that answer is incorrect. I know this year you're going to break some hearts. You're going to make some people happy. Your expectations of the competition?
Well, I'm not expecting anyone to cry on my stage.
Oh,
the prizes. No, the prizes and so on. Yes. I mean, they've stopped crying. Yes. So I'm expecting a very good competition this year.
Right.
We're ready for them, just waiting to see what happens.
Ready, waiting to see what happens. Final words, Nakia.
It's going to be wonderful. And the fact that we are going to Kumasi with the national, the whole thing, which we haven't done before, it's going to be wonderful. Already we are seeing signs of it, that the American fans are excited about.
The Americans are in the building,
yeah?
Let's see how they fare now that the competition has come to them.
Yes, we hope for a very keenly contested and exciting program. Can I say thank you to my sponsors?
In 10 seconds.
In 10 seconds. Thank you very much, GES, for all your financial and other supports that you give. Absa Bank, thank you very much. Goyle, Prudential Life Insurance, Airtel Tigo, Dano Milk, Joy News, multimedia led by Joy News. Oh, you're with us from beginning to the end, and it's wonderful all that you do for us. Thank you so much. Thank you to YFM also giving support to us in terms of publicity. Thank you very much to all to Joy Industries that's coming on this year. Cooper Study International also coming on this year to broaden the horizons of our students. Kenya Airways, Adanse Travels. Thank you so much for all that you've done.
And thank you too for joining us this morning. Nanekia Ankomah-Asare, who is Managing Director, Primetime, and she makes all of this happen. Of course, Professor Elsie Effah Kaufmann is the quiz mistress. She'll be posing the tough questions, but not to me, fortunately. Thank you, ladies, for joining the conversation. And this is where we wrap up on this belt. But coming up next, right after the break, it is that discussion I had with transgender musician Maxwell Otriopoku, now Angel Maxine. If you missed it the first time, you don't want to miss this one. Catch all the action right here on Prime Morning. Do stay.